One thing that can be puzzling as a gamer is when a series that is pretty mediocre gets sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel, and especially if it's a niche series that's getting more spin-offs made than the typical AAA blockbuster franchise that sells millions with sky-high production values. The Neptunia series is a good example of this. The Neptunia series has seen 9 games in 5 years, and that's not counting the 3 Vita remakes of the first 3 PS3 titles in the series. Despite this, the series has seen pretty mediocre sales, and the games in it are of a very low quality. Just a few days ago, another spin-off came out on Steam, and this time it focuses on another character besides the main one in the series. The game is called Hyperdevotion Noire, Goddess Blackheart, and well, it has a long-ass title that nobody gives a shit about. The game takes the tactical or strategy role-playing genre and puts a Neptunia spin on it. Does that mean it's any good? Well, if you've played a Neptunia game before and aren't on any government watch list, you already know what this means. Now, the premise of this game is the same boring premise that other Neptunia games have. After watching drawn-out cutscenes, you find out that all the leaders of some territory are attacked and must unite to fight a single enemy. Of course, with game industry puns, fourth wall jokes, all the characters being anime girls with big tits and annoying voices, and internet typing humor that a Cheeto dust-covered nerd might laugh at. The cutscenes in this game drag on and on, but thankfully you can hit a single button to fast forward through it, thankfully, because dear god, it is bland and uninteresting. Here's a snippet of it, and remember that this drags on for longer than a Kojima game does.
Next time, understand?
Well, yeah, shares and whatnot, but oh, fine. I'm gonna use the escape option and get out of here. What? Wait, you three! Do not leave me behind, please! Whoa!
Huh, they ran away with their processor units between their legs. I guess I can let them go this time. Such impudence! Assuming that they would be able to defeat our forces proved to be their greatest undoing.
What's that flattened thing on the ground over there?
Uh-oh! I think that's his squaw! No way I can just leave her like that! Come on, we'll take her back to the last station Basilicon with us!
Roger, we're en route.
Good! Thanks! With that settled, let's go back to last station and celebrate our victory.
Now, at least the intro gives you some hope, because it makes you think that they would have finally ditched visual novel cutscenes for something that was a kid's first project in Blender, or a pirated copy of 3DS Max running on a cheap Acer laptop or netbook that their mom bought at a Walmart on clearance. After that, however, you're thrown back to the old visual novel style cutscenes that look cheap. Graphically, the game runs at a very cinematic 30 frames per second. It doesn't matter if you have a high-end AMD or NVIDIA GPU you shelled out big money for, because it still runs at a cinematic 30 frames per second with console-level graphics. Now sure, this is a Vita port, but yet this game has as minimum requirements DirectX 10, a 3 GHz i3, and 4 gigs of RAM. These are higher system requirements than even Crysis, and to make matters worse, this game has problems holding a consistent frame rate, and the game didn't even seem to run at even a locked 30 frames per second. It felt like it was bouncing all around that number, even on my system with an R9 380 and 16 gigs of RAM. The art direction in this game is pretty bland as well. While the game uses a chibi style of graphics, it feels more like an excuse to lower development costs without going all the way to 2D. It doesn't look very good, and especially not with the low frame rate. Gameplay is fairly similar to that of the Disgaea series and several other tactical role-playing games such as Super Robot Wars. Move units during a player turn and then end your turn. Movement is done on the same square grid. After each turn you choose a direction and you can use both attacks and special abilities. If you're wanting anything new in the genre, you won't get it here. You're just getting a bare-bones tactical role-playing game except infused with the blandest attempts at comedy ever. To make matters worse, the game is designed for a controller and not the keyboard and mouse. If anything, it feels like this game relies on its ability to deliver fan service and dumb jokes to you in the same way that Amazon's Prime buttons can deliver Red Bull to you with the push of a button. Music in this game is the blandest and most generic music I've ever heard in a role-playing game. It sounds like some generic anime action movie with synths that sound screechier than a cut-rate 80s synth pop band. It's ear-grain and annoying. However, considering the local radio station in my area plays Linkin Park, Korn, Muse, and Five Finger Death Punch, it's clear that even generic-ass anime synth pop music has fans somewhere. All in all, don't buy this game. Go buy a game like this guy a PC instead, and avoid this trashy game. This game's only redeeming value is that you can uninstall it. If you only want anime girls, it's not hard to fire up Google and search for them, because you might as well do that instead of wasting money on this game. Just like the other Neptunia titles, it's clear that the gameplay and production values take a backseat to the opportunity to see your waifus on your computer monitor. That's all that needs to be said. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more videos.